Hello and a very good day everyone. So today we will learn on Power Query. As we can see on this particular data over here, we do have the name of the employees like Arjun, Ali, Amir, and also we do have their employee ID number like AA6834 and also their amount of claims payable. That means the amount claims that they should be received. So now if you look at this data here, it's not properly arranged in a proper format because we have a name, the employee ID number, the amount claims, the claims amount, and also followed by another list of the employee's name and the ID number, RM, and also the another list of the employee's name. So now how we can actually arrange the data in a proper format instead of just name, and then the employee ID and also the claims payable, we want it to arrange in a proper format whereby in a three different columns, meaning to say instead of this format we want it to appear in this format. So how we can do so? Well, in order to do this we need Power Query. So Power Query is a tool that can transform data in a way that we can present data following our requirement. So the first step is I highlight all this data and then I go to data and then I go to table slash range. Where is this icon from table slash range? It is actually located at the get and transform data. So I click on this icon. So the moment I click on the icon, you will notice that a small box will appear. As you can see, a small box can appear and then you can just untick that my table has headers. Okay, why you untick this? Because if you tick my table has header, all the names here will be a header. So we don't want that, so we just untick this and we press OK. So once you press OK, automatically you will be navigated to Power Query Editor. As you can refer over here, it is Power Query Editor. So once we come here, this is where we can actually massage and clean the data. So the first step what I do is I want to segregate this. Instead of by appearing by rows, I want it to appear by column. So how I do is I go to transform and I transpose. So when I transpose, now you can see that the names are appear in a column format, which is the names, the employee ID number, and the claims expenses. However, now we see in a three different group. Instead of seeing in three different columns, we are seeing in multiple columns. So what we do now is we go to add column. There's a ribbon called add column in the Power Query Editor. So in this add column, what we do is we create the index column. So the index column will create a particular column, additional column that either starts with 0 or 1. So I will start from 0 so that now we have a dedicated column that begins from 0. So the next step what we do is I right click this column and I go to unpivot other column. So when I unpivot the other column, the other columns will be appear in one or two columns or a singular column. Okay, so meaning to say when I unpivot other column, now you see all these are appear in one two columns, but I don't want this index and attribute. So what I do is I delete this. So I've already removed these columns, but however, as you can notice over here, we do have three data, which is the employee's name, we do have the ID number, and also we do have the claims amount. So what I do is I create an index column. So this index column will show me the list of data that begins from 0 up to about 62 data. Alright, so now what I do is I want to divide this to a divide with integer divide 3. Okay, why I divide 3? Because you can see over here we do have Arjun, which is the employee detail, the employee ID, and then we have the claims amount. So we do have a 3 separate data. So I go to divide integer. Okay, so once I press divide integer, a box will appear. So I put here 3 and then I press OK. So once I press OK, so now you notice that this 000 is one group, 111 is another group, 222 another group, and respectively. So now we have actually segregate them into a particular group. Okay, what's the next step now? Now we select this index column. So in this particular index column, we do have the 0, 1, 2, 3. What we need to do is we need to transform this data. Okay, we go to this transform ribbon and we go to standard. Okay, we go to standard and there's an item called here modulo. Modulo is basically the remainder. Remainder meaning to say if just say 4 divided by 3. When 4 divided by 3, you will have a remainder of 1. So that is what modulo means. So in this context, we do have a 3 separate lines here. So I'm going to create a modulo of 3. Okay, because we do have 3 different data, so we use modulo of 3. So once I use modulo of 3, you will notice that there is a pattern, which is if it's 0, it is the employee name. It is 1 means it is the ID number, and if it's 2 means it is the RM. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select this and I'm going to click pivot column. So once I click pivot column, a box will appear. So the box will ask me, I want to create a pivot column to the values, and I click here advanced option. I make sure that it doesn't aggregate. Don't aggregate, and I press OK. So now automatically, now we do have a data where we have the employee's name, we have the ID number, and we have the claims amount. So this column I can delete. So I've removed this. So I'm going to name this as I'll put this as employee's name. Okay, and then I'm going to name this as the employee's ID, and I'm going to put this as the employee's RM claims. Okay, for claims, and I'm going to put this as a currency format. Okay, so now you have the currency. So the next thing what I do is I go to home and I click close and load. So once I press close and load, you will notice that our data now has been arranged accordingly. Meaning to say, originally this is our data, but now our data has some changes.